Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And the harvest is coming off. I don't know what to do with all the vegetables. But I have noticed a couple things I think I can share that'll make a difference in your gardens this week. I'm starting to find blossom end rot on my peppers. So I added a few extra peppers, vegetables, like in May, first part of June. And those are the ones that seem to be showing blossom end rot. What that is, where the blossom forms, you've got the fruit on the end of that vegetable plant. That vegetable, and where the flower was, you start to see a black spot. It starts to shrivel. It'll start to turn yellow, shrivel, and drop off. Those are all indications of blossom end rot. What that is, that's a lack of calcium. It's a classic. Plants need calcium. You and I need calcium to keep our bones strong. Well, vegetables need calcium to keep their vegetables, the crops, the fruits strong. It's super important. And so what I've started to do, I've noticed, okay, peppers, I'm starting my entire gardens, because I know this will spread, I'm starting to spritz them with a yield booster. It's a product put out by Fertilome. Yield booster is a liquid, comes in a spray can, 32 ounce. It's very inexpensive. I spray the foliage once a week until I see the new fruits coming out clean. Now, once a fruit already has blossom end rot on it, that damage is done. It's on there, that fruit, there's no way to get out of it. But all the new fruits after that will come out clean. And so it's super, there's plenty of growing season left. You've got 2.5 months of very productive, very active growing season. So you kind of want to get on this right away. And so spritzing that with yield booster makes a tremendous difference. So there's actually some calcium. You could also put calcium sulfate around. In fact, if it's bad, I would do both. And so you sprinkle gypsum. Gypsum is calcium sulfate. So it's a active. They say that it liquefies rock. It doesn't even do that. Come on, it helps with drainage a little bit, not a lot, but it helps. But it really has a lot of accessible calcium available at the root level for those vegetables. So you can sprinkle this powder around there, gypsum. Most of us in gardening know what that is. But in addition, the faster, more accessible calcium to plants is a liquid form. Spritzing the foliage, not the fruits. Focus on the foliage, and it will take that in and immediately be active, be useful to that plant. So do both. Watch that. So and if in doubt, just go ahead and do it anyway, because it's notorious. Blossom end rot this time of year is notorious. And so it's something you can really make a difference and keep the production. Another benefit of calcium, it starts to, it gets the walls of your fruits, let's say peppers, thicker. So you'll have richer, deeper, more meaty tomatoes. Your eggplants will be better tasting. Cucumbers, same thing. So you have more flesh and less seed. So calcium does a lot of good for your vegetable gardens. So I'll go out and just spritz. I kind of like a fairy out there. I'm the calcium fairy. I go just spritz the foliage on my tomatoes, my peppers, my tomato peppers. Where am I going? I was thinking potatoes. So there we go. Oh my gosh. Another one to watch too. Be very careful this time of year. Oh my gosh. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're a smoker, you have someone that's in your house that's a smoker, make sure you keep tobacco products, any kind of smoke, butts, cigars, anything to do with tobacco. Don't spit, don't chew, don't do anything in the vegetable garden. There's some diseases, there's some tobacco diseases that spread very easily. to tomatoes and potatoes. The nightshade families, they're really, really sensitive. And so that disease, once it gets in the soil, it jumps up on the foliage and it just goes right through your gardens. And this is the time of year when it really gets in there fast. I mean, it's okay to smoke, but be on that side of the yard. Keep the butts away from the soil. Don't use those ashes even anywhere near your vegetable garden. Flowers, they don't care. They're fine. Come on, let's do this thing. I clean the air. I'm blooming like crazy. Vegetables, not so much. They're very sensitive. And this is something the garden industry doesn't share enough of. Sometimes your tomato plants will start to wilt, curl, fade. They get yellow spots. These are all indications of disease, leaf diseases. And tomatoes, basically, they're sugar factory machines. They just create this huge amount of foliage that form the fruits, and it doesn't take much. When a plant produces that much, reacts with the sun and photosynthesis that much, it doesn't take much to get it to get a little bit of disease, and it just takes over. And so and there's no cure for it. Once it starts to happen, there's no amount of sprays we can give you. I can maybe postpone death, but eventually that plant is going to succumb to it. So if you're a smoker at all, if you get out there with the guys and have a brandy and a cigar or whatever your thing is, if you got someone in the house, just tell them nicely, hey, listen, Ken, this crazy garden guy on the radio said, don't smoke in the garden. Hey, could you guys smoke over there to the ashes over there? Put your ashtray over there and all will be well. Just outside the garden, anywhere. Doesn't have to be in the front yard. Your garden's in the back. Just kind of don't do it in or around. Don't have secondhand smoke get near your vegetable gardens. It's a game changer. So real sensitive. Another thing that can help you too, right now, I'm starting to use more phosphorus around my plants. And so the plants have been producing like crazy. Flowers have been producing like crazy. The vegetables, the cucumbers, the peppers, everything is producing, the squash. What'll happen is they've been using the phosphorus in your soil for about, 4 months now. So remember, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, that middle number, phosphorus, that's what produces fruits and flowers. And so if the plants are using that to produce fruits and flowers, they can quickly run out and the plants will stop producing. The plant will look fabulous. I mean, big, bushy plants, big, gigantic leaves on squash, but the fruits aren't as prolific. That's just give them a little bit of phosphorus. Superphosphate, 0-18-0. It's 18% phosphorus, granular form. Sprinkle some throughout the gardens and boom, that plant will just start producing the fruits. They'll have more flowers, more fruits, and larger fruits. It's a game changer. So if the garden seems to be slowing down, and it happens because you've been watering so much, and the plants have been growing using the soils so much, that you need to replenish that about now. So it's kind of something that's strategic that really you gardeners know you need to fertilize pretty often to get your gardens to keep producing. Well, the novices don't know that. They're thinking it should be, I set it once in March, get my soils right, and it should be good for the entire season. Not so. The soil is good for all the seasons, but they're on a marathon run. They're really producing long, keep going. They want to keep producing fruits. Well, they're going to take some sustenance to keep that going. So a little bit of a meal, some strategic minerals and fertilizers make a big difference. And you're producing into end of October, 1st of November, depending on your elevation. This is broadcast all over northern Arizona. I would say till at least the first week in November, we are go, go, go. So you've got plenty of time, lots of fruit to come off. I have to thank some friends. I won't name them out on the radio, or anyway, they brought peaches in to us. So, oh my gosh, the peach harvest is unbelievable. Oh my gosh, there's so many peaches. And they're so easy to grow at this elevation. If you wanted to plant a peach tree right now for next year's production, great time to do that. If you love peaches, just pick your favorite, put it in the ground, and they're self-fruitful. You only need one tree to get lots of peaches next year. So, but thank you for the bushel full of peaches at the Lane house. Had some this morning for breakfast. All right, we've got Lisa Waters Lane coming into the studio with your garden questions right after this.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Hi, Ken at Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden question. Just what are neighbors talking about? What's going on in other gardens? And we can learn things from that. And so we can see what plants are flowering, how they do it. So welcome to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
good
to
to
be
be back.
here.
It is.
Thank you.
Let me move the microphone up just a hair for you. There you go. Kind of get it set. So perfect.
I'm
And
just
so
so quiet. It never comes over.
you're a quiet talker. You love to take on the noise level of whatever the room is. And I'm like a loud talker. No matter how loud the room is, I can still be heard across the room
It's very
with or
true.
without a microphone. So it's not better or worse or either one. You need them. And that's why we attract each other. You're
That's
my
why, huh?
my fun to my shui. Feng shui.
Yeah,
Get it?
I got it.
Yeah, okay. Make sure. I know the audience got it. All right. So questions.
Sure.
What is happening out there in the gardens?
Oh, lots of stuff. So our first question is from Alan in Prescott Valley. He has an older, mature Raywood ash. Half that tree seems to be dying out. So
Yeah.
it's losing its leaves. The branches are getting brittle. Just kind of what could be causing that? Anything you can do? What do you think?
Those are all precursors to death. You should be worried. So, but you're picking up on it because you're a gardener and you saw it and you kind of go, no, what's going on? So that half of the tree, the roots on that side is something's going on. I don't know what, but I can show you a couple things or mention a couple things that are highly likely. One, gophers, they can eat roots of plants, and as they eat the roots off, the stress will be seen on the top layer of that tree. So don't let, and you'll see mounds of dirt around the tree. And they can be all around the tree, but they've done more damage on that side where you're seeing the brittle or it's not as active, that kind of thing. Grubs, there's a white kind of C-shaped worm that gets in there. It's a larva stage of beetles, basically. And so they live in the ground for a couple of years, eating the roots of trees. Raywood ash is a favorite. So they could be doing that. So if you don't see mounds, you might dig a test hole. Just see what's down there. Just a small hole, anywhere. And if you see even one grub, come talk to us. We have a grub killer. It's called Grub Killer. It's not very original. Highly effective. And so I saw some stress in our yard. I didn't even test. I just went, I know grubs come out this time of year. I'm getting some grub killer. I'm just putting it down there and praying for rain. It's a granular. You sprinkle it out there. Water activates it. So you need water to hit those granules within the first month. So we usually are going to see rain sometime in the next few days, really. So it'll activate it, go through the soil, takes out grubs. So if it's one season, one application treats a whole season. So it's an easy one. So watch for that. And then you get into the really weird stuff. So it could be watering. Just the water, when it was smaller, your irrigation did great. And as it has grown and the roots have grown out, now the roots are not as balanced with your irrigation cycle. Could be that. That's an easy tune-up. Just add an emitter or two, or take a soaker hose, or just water it by hand some. For now, the tree is stressed. No matter what, you should fertilize that thing with two things. One, most important, humic, Humic. Humic is humic acid. It's a granular, it looks like coffee grounds, only it actually does a lot of good in the soil. So it invigorates the soil so that tree wants to root, kind of goes, oh, I want to root out here. This is pretty amazing. You've got damage up there because there's some stress on that side of the roots. There's not enough roots on that side of the tree to support the growth. And so you need to get it to reroot. And it may not have roots because of gophers, grubs, and other things. So that'll help it to reroot. And then fertilize it. Just get it some nutrients. And so a 744 all-purpose plant food. It's a natural granular food you sprinkle out there at the same time. Well, Ken, which one goes on?
I was going to ask
first, Alan.
Like, what do you do first?
It doesn't matter. Either one. Just put them down, activate it by water, and just make it all go. So that'll help you with two things. It'll help it to add some more foliage, grow some more roots, and it will increase that beautiful purple color that Raywood ash is so famous for, usually at the end of October through November. So you got a few months of that, but you're setting the stage for great looking color. Stressed out trees have muted off colors. Strong, healthy trees have this beautiful autumn color that just like you got to stop and admire the foliage. You have to collect the leaves and go, wow, these are so special. I can't believe creation can make this kind of color purple or dark, rich, deep red on a Raywood ash. So there you go, Alan. You got the solution. Come see us for more.
Okay. Next question is from Lindsay out in Chino. She wants to know, and I want to know this too, because I don't know the answer. Can pre-emergent be used in an existing lawn?
Oh, Lindsay. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a great question, Lindsay. Great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. It is actually highly effective. Now, the best way to keep weeds out of a lawn is have a nice, thick, healthy lawn. So if you've got some weeds, that just means the grass is not choking out everything else. That's what a healthy lawn does. So you have less dandelions, less crabgrass, less weeds with a healthy lawn. So I would say fertilize. That's a theme right now because the yard's running out of food. You need to re-up that. So get the grass to grow, but then you can use a granular pre-emergent on that grass, and any weed seed that happens to land inside that lawn, it will not germinate. Yet it doesn't affect the grass that's already growing. That's the beauty of weed preventers. You can use it throughout your rose bed. You can use it in the flower bed. You can use it over your lawn, and it's going to eliminate any seed that blows in. Chino Valley's famous for their wind. The tumbleweeds roll across that valley, hit a barbed wire fence. They create a ramp. They just keep piling up until they start launching over the fence. Yeah. So that's every time they roll, you're getting more seed. And so every kind of weed has their own seed and how it spreads. It will keep those from germinating. And most weeds are actually annuals. They come back every year by seed, not by the roots. So perennials, they come back from last year's root, and they come up and become even bigger and stronger. Weeds don't do that. Weeds are typically an annual. That is, they're going to reseed themselves, and that's why they're so prolific, and that's why they love to get in this nice, rich, moist lawn area and germinate. So if there's any open spot in the lawn, you're going to have weeds show up. So just keep that from going on. So
best to keep the lawn healthy, keeps the weeds out. You can use the pre-emergent, I would say, unless you're thinking about reseeding or overseeding.
Yeah, but she's got an established lawn. Unless you're going to extend it or something. Yeah, it's going to keep all seed, including grass seed, from germinating. But I assume you've got a pretty healthy lawn, Lindsay. And so we're just trying to increase the vigor of the lawn that's there and then keep everything else out.
Okay. Next question is from Dan in Prescott. He actually lives out Williamson Valley area. They need a big screen tree to block out the house that's building behind them. Want to know, and a lot of people ask this, what's better, deodar cedar, Arizona cypress, or is there something else?
Yeah, Dan, so Dan, that's super easy. So I would say Williamson Valley, you can have either because you've got bigger properties typically. Depends on where you're at. But for bigger properties, deodar cedar works. So deodar cedar also is known in the Bible as the tree of Lebanon. These trees grew hundreds and hundreds of feet. They're like mini like redwoods. And so they get ginormous. Now, we don't have any that are hundreds of years old here yet, but that's where they're going to go to. So it's too big for a smaller yard. You just don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona cypress is the one that grows native out towards where you're at, Dan. So if I had to pick between the two, I would go with Arizona cypress just because it's going to naturalize.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're up to size, you'll never have to care for them again because they're in their element. Arizona cypress, whereas deodar cedar is more of a Middle Eastern thing. I mean, it's in a similar climate to us, and they're fast growing. Both are very thick, very full, easily up to 25 feet by 12 feet wide, solid green. But I would, if I had to choose, Dan,
you have to
I
choose.
would probably, I guess you could mix them with big product, could mix and match.
Yeah.
But if you want a wall or privacy, a lot of folks want the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do Arizona cypress. Come in and see us for more. We can help you with spacing, how many you might need. Take a picture, what you want to block. We can help you block it. This is what we do for a living and have fun at it. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
That's it for this segment. Be right back after this.
You're listening to Ken Lane, aka the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardens.
If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Waters Garden Companion plants for August are radio red salvias, butterfly bush, and trumpeting vine.
Large clusters of red and orange flowers create a dramatic show all season long with Waters trumpet vine.
This vigorous vine thrives in heat and blooms profusely with neglect.
Quickly covers large areas as a ground cover, spilling over retaining walls, screening a fence, or cloaking arbors.
Guaranteed to attract more hummingbirds and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
All right, so your ornamental grasses in autumn should be spectacular. And if they are not showing those plumes, so grasses don't have a flower, they got a plume that comes up. That's the most famous would be pampas grass. This humongous grass is way bigger than I am, and the plumes hover above that. It's too big for a lot of yards, but it sure is spectacular out there by the driveway, by the street, privacies, blocking the hot tub, out in the corners of that block wall. That's where you plant a really big shrub like that. Well, that should be showing some white plumes right now. If it's not, there's an insider tip to getting those to bloom. Now, the smaller grasses, let's say coral forester, bunny grass, fescues, zebra grass, all these, let's say hip high and smaller grasses, ornamental grasses. We're not talking lawn. You're not going to cut it with a mower. Don't even need a mower for ornamental grasses. In the mountains of Arizona, we're famous for our grasses. This is where they grow. Our native ones are deer grass, mesocanthus, bear grass. So like bears, they're growing out in the valley areas, and the wind will blow through those, and they just add drama. They add magic. They look good in containers. There's something about this altitude that they just really admire. They show off. What grasses need, though, they're high feeders. They're much like a fruit tree or a rose. They need a lot of energy to produce all of that new growth and the new flowers every single year. And so you're going to probably cut those grasses back every winter. So after January to March, you cut them right back to the ground, including pampas grass, and then they form all new growth every year. And then this time of year, above that growth will be the plumes.
And so it's a high energy plant. To pull that off every year, it takes a lot for that plant to produce that much growth in 1 year. So my coral forester grass, that's one of my favorites. It's a nice green grass that's up about knee high. And then it has this white flower to it that hovers all season long, really. The reason I like it is it blooms so early. And so it starts blooming in May. Whereas most ornamental grasses or showy grasses, they're not going to start until about now through the end of the year. And so I like that one. It's cute. It's small enough to fit anywhere in the gardens, and it just has a long bloom cycle and a long green cycle. So it stays hibernated underground like a true perennial, maybe for 2-3 months, and then it's right back. I mean, it is growing quickly. I have a red bunny grass. This is a shorter grass, again, about knee high, maybe a little shorter than knee high. And it's starting to have the red flowers or red plumes coming up. It started maybe 3 weeks ago, and now it'll have hundreds of plumes coming up here very shortly. And it will keep those through the end of the year. It's a magical plant. And so you just need to feed those things, fertilize them more. And the way you do that is they really like the 744 all-purpose plant food. The reason is it's got cottonseed meal. That's what forms the plume. It lowers the pH, it brings the green out, but mainly it has a lot of bird poop in it. And so lawns, any kind of grass loves bird poop. So it's just a fast released, high energy nitrogen source. And so grasses like nitrogen. Remember, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. That first number is green growth. That's mainly what grasses need. But in addition, I find they benefit from a handful of superphosphate. So I was just adding superphosphate 0-18-0. I just put a bunch of superphosphate with all my ornamental grasses. I've got quite a few in containers and raised beds out in the yard. Just sprinkle some of this around and it will encourage more plumes to come up. They're using that right now. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. If your pampas grass has been thin, wispy, they haven't looked like the rest of the neighbors, that is the reason. Come in and get a handful, very inexpensive superphosphate, throw a few handfuls on there, and it will be a game changer this next fall, like the season that's happening right now. This is something you do in the yard this week that makes a difference for the rest of the year. It's kind of a game changer. And so grasses are high energy, high food, high showy. They're show stoppers. And so it takes a little bit of energy on the gardener's part to have really showy. It'll do it by itself, but it can be so much more with just a little bit of energy from you will make it a game changer. So food, keep it watered. Don't rely on the monsoons. Keep it on that regular cycle you'll put your shrubs on. That's what a grass likes. Okay, and that's how to get grasses to look more spectacular. Get them to bloom in your yard. Be right back after this.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Water's garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, trumpeting vine, and butterfly bush.
Monarch and swallowtail butterflies flock to Water's butterfly bush with spectacular 8-inch flowers filling the yard with fragrance and beauty.
Heat, drought, wind only make this shrub bloom more. Tough enough to grow in clay, but hardy enough to shine in containers.
With so many colors to choose, every yard should have at least 2.
You'll only find impressive butterfly bush at Water's Garden Center in Prescott.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And we are back in the studio with Elisa Waters Lane. She comes each week just to share her perspective on gardening, what you're seeing, what you're thinking, this is kind of your season. So we're starting fall. You seem to love fall.
I do love
I like
fall.
spring. You love fall.
Yeah.
In the fall, I think it's decorating pumpkins and scarecrows and
It's
Indian
cooler.
corn. It's cool. Spring is cool too. It's just windy.
True.
Spring is visionary. It's thinking through what will be coming down the road, what flowers. You're starting with seed and bulbs and planning ahead. Now everything looks so good, and it's just accessorizing what already looks fantastic. So it's a different way of coming after the gardens. It's a fun time. I like fall too.
Yeah. So we push on here. Because we're a 4-season climate,
Yeah.
right? So you should have something in your yard that looks beautiful for each season.
Oh yeah.
So planting for that fall, yes, they're there in the spring and the summer and all that, but planting for that fall color is important if you want to enjoy those colors out in your yard.
If you don't do that, the natural spring and summer gardens just naturally fade into blah, green. They stop blooming. They start turning color. And so the flowers of fall, you need to actually introduce some of those to keep that bloom cycle going through really November through Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Actually, at the lower elevations, you can keep it going right through winter. That's something that the Midwestern folks think, no, that's impossible, can't be done. Well, it's not Kansas anymore, Toto. Oh, it's the reason you moved here is because it's a real nice 4 seasons. And so even January, it's cold in the morning, but by the afternoon, you're putting on a lighter layer and you're enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah.
And so you've got plants that can take that and thrive, like pansies and that kind of thing.
Sure.
I love that.
Sure. Which are coming in more towards the end of maybe this month. They like it a little cooler.
Yeah.
But they are coming. And yes, we will have lots of pretty things to put in.
People are begging for them right now. So I'd say if you do plant them too early, you can trick them into blowing out on you. So we're not. So we have cool weather, and then it gets hot again. Cool weather. It's an Indian summer is what we define it here in the Southwest, where you're thinking it's summer, and then it's not, and then it's just back to summer again. So you get tricked into planting too early some of these fall plants. Later's better, especially at the lower elevations.
But I would say if you're planting for fall tree color, maples.
Oh yeah.
What's the
aspens?
The pear,
Birch,
ornamental pear, aspens, raywood ash, things that give you that really pretty fall color. Now is the time to be putting that in so you can enjoy the fall color.
Yeah.
So yes, you can enjoy it next year, but why not enjoy it this year?
I would say the same thing with vines. So people wait too long to put the Virginia creeper, the trumpet vines, the honey. They wait too long. You should put them in before they turn so you get to enjoy the whole color. If you wait till they're in color, you plant them and they just drop the leaves almost like the next
You're like,
day.
well, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But some of the shrubs that people like for fall color, you did the Virginia creeper, which is it's a beautiful vine for fall color. But shrubs would be burning bush.
Oh yeah,
that one that turns that bright red,
like it's burning,
like you see it for miles down the road. Nandina is another one that can really give you some really nice fall color, and then Oregon gray polly. Is a good one for fall color. You kind of get the oranges and reds in the leaves, and it's really pretty.
I would even say I would go so far, and we're stretching out there, but if you're tuned in, and maybe you're from another area, you're not used to it. I would even say a puntia or your prickly pears. Many of those they're evergreen,
right?
And they get these beautiful pads, and they're famous for their fruits, which they're forming right now. But in the winter, middle of autumn through winter, they get this purpley, they can turn color on you. They get this interesting, the pads actually will change colors, and it's unique to the Southwest. So you can have real fun with this. So get creative.
I didn't think of that one.
There you go.
But you are creative.
I love agaves, or century plant, this beautiful, very spiky, very Southwestern thing. I love putting that in a container. And then at winter, or I guess you could do it Halloween. Put little scarecrows in the end of the spikes. I like little gold balls on the end of you get a real big fat blue pad. They come out with this very dangerous thorn. And so, but it's a protection thing. It keeps the animals off of that plant. But you can use those and stick to kind of put some, have some fun decorations on the end of your uniquely Arizona plant.
Would that
Having fun with that.
would that protect the ends of your plants from winter freezing?
It would protect, no, but it would protect your shins from
Just thought I'd
dinging.
try.
No, it's not. They're so hardy. They're good
Yeah.
down to, I think, minus 20 degrees.
They are.
Even Flagstaff,
Right.
the North Rim,
Mhm.
they have agaves growing up there, the hardy ones that we grow,
Mhm.
and they get sub-zero every single year.
Mhm.
So they've got enough antifreeze in them. They don't need protection. They just grow without
Mhm.
care. Yeah.
Some other great plants you can put in now for fall enjoyment would be your grasses.
Oh yeah.
Your muhly grass, your miscanthus, your pampas grass.
Yeah, the big boy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things you can put in now that are just starting to really show their beautiful
Yeah.
look that they'll be having. So a lot of people, along with that, is mums. Everybody thinks of mums for fall.
That's right.
And actually, mums are really good perennial for
Yeah,
here.
up here.
Animal resistant. They're not real heavy water users. You can put them in the sunny spots. So they're just a really nice plant to mix into your perennial bed as well. And we do get them in. So this one's still pretty tight, hasn't really blown all its flowers yet, which is great because you get to enjoy more of the blooming when
Yeah.
they're still tight. So this is the yellow Beverly Gold.
Beverly Gold mum. Chrysanthemum. Yeah.
So just real pretty put in right now. We have yellows, we have reds, oranges, bronze, and they're just starting. So lots of real
And they
pretty.
will come back. So
Mhm.
you plant them once. Most folks throughout the country treat this as an annual. They just
Right.
want the flowers in fall and then they're done. They'll pull it up and go, it's been good knowing you. I had a good
Mhm.
3-month ride. You're out of here. It's like a big floral bouquet.
Right.
But at this elevation, if you put it in the right spot, you can have this thing come back
Mhm.
for decades, not just once, but for years and years out in the
Right.
gardens.
Mhm.
Now it's a green blob until now. So if you want color, a reason people treat it as an annual, they want something bright and colorful because these are usually by the
Mhm.
front door, back patio, someplace
Right.
showy. They
Mhm.
want showy things there and to have it green from March, April, May, June, July, August for 6 months and then finally bloom. That's why they pull them up or
Yeah.
you could take it out and plant it somewhere
And
else.
that's what
You
I
can
do
that.
because I love putting these in pots to decorate the fall with. And then I just put them someplace else in the yard. We've always got a little spot or a perennial bed you can mix them into. The other thing we have right now are asters.
Oh, they came in.
Yeah.
Neat.
So asters are another one of those late summer bloomers. They usually comes in the purples and the pinks, the
Yeah.
really bright colors. And I think we have purple and pink, and I think I have like 2 more varieties coming in really soon here. So asters kind of similar to the mum and how
Yeah.
they grow and when they bloom, but another really nice addition to your perennial bed.
I would say asters are actually a tremendous addition to perennial wildflower beds because there's actually a wild aster that grows here.
Mhm.
It's going to naturalize easier or reseed easier than a mum will.
Right.
Mums have and they look a little bit wilder. They're a little bit more open,
Yeah.
whereas mums are tighter, fuller, more
Right.
groomed.
Mhm.
And so there's a difference for them. And asters too. So mums will have kind of crop after crop. There's
Yeah.
hundreds of them coming. Asters,
One time.
there's not very many. So it's a very specialized crop. And so if
Mhm.
you want asters, you come in, you better buy them now. Not to pressure you, but the window is tight.
Bye
Whereas
now.
mums, they're way
Yeah,
out
you'll
there.
find
They're
them
a long
forever.
time. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, well, Lisa,
Yeah.
any last parting
Parting
thought? Or you?
words. Plant
you
now
also-
for beautiful fall color in your yard.
That's it.
Enjoy all your seasons.
Yeah, now's the time for your oranges,
Mhm.
purples, the royal colors of autumn are now. So I think it's perfect. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners, be back after this.
Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Podcast the show, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook and Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Hi, Lisa here with the plants of the week and our lavender chiffon hibiscus.
This hardy variety is one of the longest blooming, most prolific shrubs, showing off massive 4-inch lavender flowers all summer long.
This stately bush likes to show off, and all for $39.
But wait, there's more. These pretty shrubs come back again next year with even more stunning beauty.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. Where people who love stunning hibiscus, they love to shop. Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
Now, Javelina. Now, if you're tuned in or you're new to the Southwest, this is a wild pig-like animal. Kind of has a real heavy scent gland. It's like a miniature hog. So if you're from the South, they don't grow 500 pounds. They grow 80 to 100 pounds. They travel in big packs. So there can be dozens, from boars to sows to little piglets. They're cute and destructive for the gardens. And so if you're in a neighborhood where you're in that wildland interface, actually you don't have to even be that. They roam around the neighborhoods just like they own the place. So we've invaded their space, and they're now making home in your backyard. Actually, they were placed here. As growing up as a kid here in Prescott, Arizona, we never had Javelina in our backyards. Never worried about it. Deer, rabbits, that kind of stuff. It's a new phenomena. They've come up from the lower deserts. That's back where we used to have to go if you were going to go find them. So Wickenburg, Congress, those areas down towards New River, as you get towards Phoenix, that's where their natural habitat. We never realized they could live. They're up towards Williams, Flagstaff now. And so there's almost no place that they can live. They're very strong. They've got a nose like a pig, and they basically rototill the garden up, and they're looking for roots, bugs, worms, grubs. That's their natural MO. That's what they do. Well, they'll dig up your gardens and looking for that. And if they happen to find your vegetable garden, they're even better. It's like a bonus, like frosting on their dinner palette. They naturally seem to eat cacti. So they can eat like prickly pear cactus. That's a regular thing for them. The root of your agaves and yuccas, that's a natural kind of carbohydrate for them. They'll dig up the plant, eat the root, and chuck the rest, leave the hole, and you come out the next morning going, what just happened? Well, that's a Javelina pack came in and did that. And so if you've got big packs like nesting under the oak trees in your backyard, there's really no hope. I mean, you've got to actually fence them out. There are some plants they just don't like. They just naturally they get sick, or I don't know why. They seem to eat everything, but there's some things they just don't go for. And you'll see them out in the wild because they've just learned, cotoneaster. This is a natural shrub. Grows up. There's a gray-leafed cotoneaster that grows. If you're hiking around the Bradshaws, Mingus Mountain, you'll see this shrub just growing. Nice evergreen, beautiful, just low maintenance. And you can grow it in your backyard. They've learned, don't mess with that. It just tastes bad and makes me feel sick when I eat that. And so any of the cotoneaster family, you're almost golden. You can't go wrong. It's more of a shrub thing. A juniper is the same way. So you've got wild junipers. We're in very large juniper forest areas. So if you've got that, any kind of juniper, they just know, that smells bad. It's got that citrusy kind of smell. Don't mess with juniper. I'll just get sick, and it's just not good. So they pass it by. And it would be several things like that. Cactus, generally they'll leave alone. But, if it's drought conditions, they haven't been bothering the cacti like we have seen over the past because we're out of this drought thing. So stuff they prefer have been around so that we haven't had the pressure on them. But if we get dry at all for a moment, they'll go after those prickly pear cactus. They'll just burrow into stuff. So there's quite a few. One that's surprising, you Californians, you'll love this. They leave alone Nandina, or heavenly bamboo. So they'll leave alone this is nice. It looks like a bamboo plant, but it doesn't have that aggressive runner system that just becomes a weed. Bamboo really it doesn't belong in the garden. It takes over. Eventually your backyard will be nothing but bamboo.
Nandina doesn't do that. And so it's more tame. It's easier, grows in containers, raised beds, it's just easy to grow. And animals don't bother. It's got a white sap that they just don't care for. And so they leave it alone. Quite a few of the flowering shrubs, they don't bother. So smoke bush is famous right now. You've got crepe myrtle, they seem to leave alone. Rosa Sharon, they don't bother. This beautiful hibiscus, you'd think they'd go after that, but they don't. In the spring bloomers, so forsythia, flowering quince, lilacs, they seem to leave. They'll bother it if they get really desperate. There's nothing left for them to eat. They might try it, but they'd much rather, if there's anything else, they'll go after that. Vegetables. There are no vegetables. If you like to eat it, a pig-like animal is going to like to eat it too. There's just no getting around that. You're going to have to fence that off, put it on the deck. They'll actually, I got a friend of mine at the base of Thumb Butte. He's got a story and a half steps to his back deck overlooking this beautiful vista. The pigs figured out how to climb us like, I don't know, 20 steps to get to the containers on his front deck. So he had to actually put a child gate at the top of the deck. So keep them out. I mean, go figure. We get creative. I've heard some folks using carpet tacks. So those wood strips with the nails coming through, they'll put those at the base of their steps going to the deck or the porch, and they get stuck on it, and that kind of deters them. So you've got a booby trap almost. So again, it's sort of a makeshift fence. They're fencing them out so they don't get up onto the deck, so they can have a space that they can grow things without them. So for our backyard, we've got cedar fence. So our HOA allows us to have cedar fence. Can't have chain link or some others, but cedar's allowed, and the iron. So that in the backyard, along with dogs. Dogs have a way of shooing things off. The problem is Javelina are nocturnal. They come out at night. Whoa, what are your pets doing with you? They're sleeping indoors with you. They're conked out. They don't even realize there's a pack of 20 Javelina tearing up the backyard. They might give you a notice, but yeah, it's not reliable. Fencing. If you're going to have beautiful flower gardens, if you're going to have beautiful harvest out of the backyard, you need a space you can protect them from the Javelina. And I think bunnies and other stuff. So they're going to like eating your lettuce, that kale, spinach. Oh, it's there. They can't resist it. It tastes too good. And so they actually smell it and go, I want that. They can lift cheesy fences. If you just kind of lightly tack down a fence, they'll just lift it up and come right on through. So a true way to keep them out. Highly effective, very high effectiveness is electric fence. So put a 12-volt, a single wire, a foot off the ground with 12 volts going through it. Boy, that just keeps them out of an area. So I use that in some spaces as well. In fact, when I put the wire out, I actually put a piece of tinfoil, aluminum foil on top, just let it float on top of the wire. And I put some peanut butter underneath on the bottom on that piece of metal aluminum foil. And they went for it. They wanted that peanut butter. And then the next morning I came out and there was just wire laying everywhere. Just they'd knocked down, the whole herd must have freaked out. Just the lead boar kind of went, oh, this is good. And then hit the wire. Got a jolt, and it kind of slapped him on the nose, and all the rest of the herd went, wah! And they have not been back since. And so that's highly high, about 1 foot off the ground. Just put some rebar. You can go down to Olson's Grain, a cow ranch, any ranch feed store is going to have electric fence, because that's the only way to keep horses from nibbling on the corral, to keep cattle in. Well, it also works on Javelina very well. I've got it. I don't like those yellow insulators. So I put it in the gardens. I kind of don't even encircle it. I just run the wire through, and then I spray paint that green and brown. I kind of camo it because I don't want to see electric fence, but I want it to be live. Then I put it on a timer. So it runs from 10 p.m. at night till 6 in the morning, because the dogs, if one of our dogs gets zipped, I'm going to hear about it. Not from the dogs, from Lisa. She's going to hey, you can't do that. But I put it on a timer. Just comes on when they're out there in the middle of the night. And then it goes off when she's out. I mean, I don't want to get zipped. I don't want my wife to get zipped. Don't want my cat's dogs to get, it's not going to hurt them, doesn't burn them, but it sure makes them yelp where they kind of go, whoa, I don't like that. So anyway, electric fence, we've got a whole list of Javelina resistant plants here at the Garden Center. We'd be glad to share that with you. Ask for it the next time you visit. Be right back.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener.
If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Hi, Waters with the plants of the week and our gold flame honeysuckle.
Wonderfully fragrant. These blooms are in full color right now and will stay that way until the first frost of October.
These pink and gold blooms are irresistible to hummingbirds and butterflies alike.
Excellent as a quick ground cover, but robust enough to climb vertical structures and fences, all for under $37.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love blooming vines, they love to shop.
You've tuned in to The Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
If you have plants that are stressed in any way, off color, broken leaves, spotting, if they look not quite perfect, right now, take advantage of the rain and give them some humic. And I mentioned that, I think, in the second segment or something, Q&A section, but had a raywood ash, bring it back to life. They need to reroot. And so humic does two things for you. One, it changes the chemistry of the soil, so it lowers the pH and makes things more acidic, makes them green up. That's a beautiful thing. So they should not be going into color right now. You should not see any fall color in your plants. So first week in September, we're a month away from true autumn. So they're showing chemistry issues. Lower the pH, greens them up. Second, it'll help them root. Humic tickles the feet of plants so they want to root out more. Very easy to administer, all organic, very natural, safe for your pets, your birds, for you. Put it in my hand spreader and I just chuck it around the yard. It makes things happier. And so humic is a real game changer. So if it's stressed out, just help them. So whether it's a Japanese maple that's going south, looking yellow, torn leaves, it helps it out. Okay, so take a quick sip. Dancing for the Stars. That was last weekend. I would like to thank our sponsors. There were so many. In fact, Carrie Hughes and I, we won the Billboard Dancers Award, which means we had a great dance and we had a lot of sponsors. So we raised $67,000 altogether. Altogether for the clubs, all dancers, all 9 dancers, $466,000 for 2 clubs. One in Prescott Valley, one in Prescott. It's a game changer. Such a great cause. Thank you all for supporting that. I was waking up this week without the stress. Like before the dance, I'd wake up thinking my song, when's the intro, when's the exit, when's my move, when do I turn, when do I do this, when do I jump up, when do I do down? Oh, I had none of that. It was so nice, actually. And so that's just a big shout out, a big thank you to the Dancing for the Stars cast, 9 couples. For the folks that attended, I love the cheering, hooping, and hollering. It was, you invigorated me to dance stronger, better, bigger. Thank you for that. And we raised $466,000. Ken Lane and Carrie Hughes, winners of the Billboard Dancers Award. Is a pretty thing. If you've not seen it on YouTube or Facebook, I took a picture of our dance, or video, not a picture, video of the dance. It's 5 minutes long. Take a look at that. It's on our Facebook page. Go to YouTube and just type in Waters Garden Center or Ken and Carrie Lane, Dancing for the Stars. It'll pop right up. It's kind of a fun short video. You can check out the winning dance. And then the next thing coming up is Grapes for Good, September 17th. So we have a fundraiser here at the Garden Center. I fully expect to raise over $100,000 for the schools with that one event. Tickets are available online at Prescott Frontier Rotary. They're the ones hosting. I'm hosting. They're the ones, whatever they do, get people there, getting to some great stuff they've got coming in. And then garden classes. Take a look at those. So every Saturday, we've got classes. They're made to help you be better. This weekend is top trees and how to grow them. And then next week, I'm going to teach climbing and covers. So vines, ground covers, you have erosion control. We're teaching that one Saturday, September 9th. The 16th, we've got easy to grow mountain plants. And so they're every Saturday, they're in the back greenhouse. No matter the weather, we can control the greenhouses. That's what they do, control the temperature and the wind, the rain. And then we just hang out for an hour, talk about the subject, and then I'll hang for as long as you want and answer questions. But throughout the week, Lisa and we camp out here at Waters Garden Center. We love talking to fans of the show. Thanks for tuning in this week, folks.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increased success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.
If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.